Everybody, thank you for being here at the emergency meeting of LaSalle County Commissioners Court. It's May 22nd. It's 10:10 a.m. We're at the district courtroom, LaSalle County Courthouse, 101 Courthouse Square. We have Commissioner Noel Nieves, Joaquin Alba. We have via Zoom, Commissioner Erasmo Ramirez, Commissioner Raul Ayala, and myself, our quorum. So we have a full quorum. So we could rise to say the Pledge of Allegiance. United States of America, to the republic for our God, liberty and justice for all. Honor and protect the flag, pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one nation. I don't know if there's any public comment. I know the governor keeps making changes, and I know yesterday he announced that he's terminating all air travel restrictions as part of the safe strategic plan to open Texas in response to the COVID response. And last week, he opened in phase one retail stores, restaurants, movie theaters, and malls at 25%, museums and libraries, 25%, churches and places of worship at 25%, and then county and local governments to be determined by the local government. So under phase two, he addressed several things, that he also put out a manual to give guidelines for barbershops and nail salons. They were also open last week on that. So we're going to phase two, child care centers on May 18th, massage and personal care centers May 18th, youth clubs May 18th, rodeo and equestrian events May 22nd, bowling alleys, bingo halls, simulcast racing and skating rinks May 22nd, bars May 22nd, aquariums and natural caverns May 22nd, zoos May 29th, day youth camps May 31st, overnight youth camps May 31st, and he had said youth sports May 31st, but he's had a change to that in June. And certain professional sports without in-person spectators May 31st. Now, door-to-door solicitation is still prohibited, which includes the salesman, selling insurance, utilities, even the political workers. It's still prohibited. I know we're going to have a call with the governor this afternoon to see when that opens. Amusement game rooms, unless operated as a Texas licensed restaurant or bar, shall remain closed. So if you have maquinitas that, unless they have a license, like they're a bar or a restaurant, they're still closed.
How do you have?
Huh?
I don't think they have a license.
No. So yeah, so they have a license. If they're in an actual restaurant, then they comply to the restaurant. Otherwise, they remain closed. Hotels and motels should comply with the gym and restaurant rules and procedures set up by the governor. And we talked about it last time. The gym should only be open to the patrons that follow the same rules of cleaning as a gym, but it should be only open to the patrons. If they have a restaurant, buffet, or food services, and sometimes they offer food, I'm asking that we say, hey, you gotta wear a mask, and anybody going to the buffet should be wearing a mask too, to protect them. And then we cover our parks. Our parks gonna be, they have some rules for the parks, and it's set by on the parks, and they have a checklist for, and they call it youth sports operators, which which was revised on May 18th, put out by the governor. Um, so we need to provide a notice to all parents and guardians of enhanced risk of participants being in direct contact with anybody aged of 65 or older for 14 days after participating in the sport. Uh, to train all staff in appropriate cleaning, disinfection, hand hygiene, respiratory etiquette. Screen all staff each day of the following for a new or worsening sign. So they got to have someone to screen. They got to limit the staff to underlying conditions. Consistent with actions by many employers across the state, consider having all staff wear face coverings over nose and mouth if available. Staff should consider wearing non-medical grade face masks. Staff should mitigate environmental exposure for additional cleaning, disinfecting, symptomatic work area, common area, bathrooms, and should follow supervised program activity plan if applicable. And it goes on deeper, that you gotta isolate the participant if they test positive. If somebody tests positive, the youth sports organizer should notify parents or guardians of possible exposure. And then they're asking for us to make sure we sanitize all program areas, equipment, before and after use. Wash the hands. Wash the hands. They're also requiring that when people sit in the benches, that they have to sit 6 feet apart, and you have to skip one bench, one row in between. So it's going to be very, very limited on who can sit out there. So there's going to be rules to do that. And I'm going to ask Victor to put these guidelines on our website. At the end of the day, governor says we can open these facilities, but since we're still the owner, we decide when to open it, if we're going to open it. So that's the thing that we have to decide, what we're going to do. And on page 404, health protocols for youth sports facilities, sanitation of all program areas, sanitation of equipment, hand washing, and it states one individual per seat and every other row, staggered seating for maximum distancing, asking participants staff to wear face coverings, and any individual should wash hands upon boarding the vehicle. So the only thing I ask is, we decide to open it, that it should be open only to children and participants of LaSalle County only. It's for us only.
Yeah, that we won't get people out of town.
Yeah, we don't get people out of town. You gotta have your spacing, gotta mark it, make sure it's clean. And there's additional staff that should be required to clean the bathrooms. You're gonna have to have somebody there all the time to clean the bathroom. So that's called for,
So they're gonna have somebody there to take it, get too close to each other. Is that okay?
well, this is the thing, they're still recommending everybody be 6 foot apart. And I know that the sheriff is not here, but we seriously need to have a talk on long as we're gonna get support on that, otherwise it doesn't make any good. If we're not gonna get the support of that, then why open it?
It's all about-
Because people do get together, and kids like to be together, but I think they understand. I think they understand.
Guys went to the beach this weekend, it's right there, Friday Island, for a little while, they were all real far apart, but that father that went down, everybody got together.
And that's gonna happen, and, you know, the kids, we gotta teach them, they do the high five, and they get excited, and they do things, but I believe in this order that I gave you, I think it says June 15th. I think he moved into June 15th.
That's for the workers.
For the park.
Yeah, or when you started, you said May 18th, or was it June 8th?
Well,
And then the 22nd was,
I gave you a list that shows,
29 was- you give us a copy.
yeah, I gave you a copy and it shows a date, but in the parks and operators, I think it states a different date from the governor. Maybe we can get that cleared up. I thought I saw somewhere June 15th. But at the end of the day, we can start, if we want to do May 31st and get it started, I think we're okay. Yeah, because I mean, in his email that he sent us, it says May, um, May 31st, youth sports. And that's in the email he sent us. But I saw something else that said, June 18th, but we can follow the 18th. The only thing that we have to look at is, they set rules in here that have to be followed. And you gotta have the spacing. You're gonna have to have the spacing. And if the spacing's not happening, then we own it and we can go back and close it.
So that would count back as like softball practice and things like that. So we would have to go in there, I guess, mark the bleachers.
Mark the bleachers.
That way they can have a better understanding, you know, I mean, at least they can see.
Not good.
And they may have to do something where they put the chairs on the outside, another little fence around there. And on practices, it's also asking that only one person of the family member, only one parent, one guardian be there, you know, to restrict it. So there's a lot of rules that they're requiring, to do. And I know people are excited because they want to have, they want to, they want to use the facility. And I think that these youth sport as the operators, that I think the rules should be adopted for the parents and the coaches. And we make them sign off on that they received the information. And set the rules that you gotta be apart. You gotta keep them apart. So, it's hard. It's, I mean, the minimum health protocols, effective May 31st, youth sports may begin holding practice without spectators, other than one parent or guardian as needed. Those sports may begin holding games and similar competitions with or without spectators on or after June 15th. So they can start practices on May 31st, but they can start playing on June 15th. And I knew I saw it. And that's a checklist for sport operators, minimum standard health protocols, and that's on the very first page. Spectators should maintain at least 6 feet social distance from individuals not within the spectator group. So in putting this out, and I think they got it to me, and it also covers the sports. Keep it together. I'll pass it this way. Keep it together. We can put that on the internet and say, hey, you're gonna have to follow these rules. And we're gonna open, we're gonna follow, then you gotta follow these rules. And then, like you said, if they got a dugout, then we have to maybe put a temporary fence to where they're gonna sit here 6 feet apart.
And if
It's real hard because they're gonna
If
sit
it
on
was-
site.
the worst case scenario, if we don't open it,
Okay.
we leave.
Or put it this way, if we're gonna do the sports, they can play. They can play, but on the Guardians, that is only gonna be limited to the immediate family. You know, the parents and the grandparents, nobody else can go in.
Would we be in fault if we don't open it?
But, no,
I mean,
but
because
then, you got all these kids and people that wanna play.
I know.
So we give them the opportunity to, okay, these are the rules that follow. If you're interested in doing a league, we want you to read those rules and get us your comments before May 31st, and we'll have another meeting and let's see what they have to say. Let's meet with them. Let's meet with them. Instead of saying no, let's meet with them. Because maybe they have some ideas that we don't know.
If you don't work, we shut it down.
Yeah. So let's give them a chance to meet.
Give them a chance.
I mean, everybody's got kids and everybody wants their kids to play, but nobody wants their kid to get sick either.
So you should do the rules, I mean, so it should be the parents, but if you got, you know, let's say I don't have any kids playing, then, well, I'm gonna go hang around, well, I shouldn't go hang around and watch these kids.
You don't have to.
Unless, you know. So it should be the parents and the kids, some people take all the family, all the cousins and everybody else. I said, no, it's gonna be limited. And I would suggest that you do at least an hour spacing in between games to let people move in and move out. Because once you watch your kid, if your kid is over, then you gotta leave the facility, you know, leave the facility. Yeah, when your kid
You
finishes,
gotta have a.
So, huh?
You have to have a policeman there.
you know, and some kids are gonna have family members, and those are the ideas we need to get from the people.
Whatever we do will be real hard. A lot of kids want to see one of their friends, their friends.
And then they're gonna jump on him, because I still got 10 more
So
minutes.
they're gonna jump on everybody else.
You know, it's just hard.
You're gonna have to have a deputy there.
So we get the recommendation from, we'll meet with them. I mean, let's meet,
Have a meeting with the people. What do you think?
let's meet with, you know,
Maybe you can vote on it.
you got two groups, maybe Babe Ruth and the Little League people. Let's meet with their coaches. Let's meet with their coaches.
Is it still going on a 25%, Josh, or
No,
is it
that's-
gonna be social distancing?
But that goes by the distance.
Yeah, that
Just-
goes by
just-
distance.
just social
That goes by
distancing.
distance. It's hard to do 25%, but we don't have bleachers for everybody. So that's why it's important for those family members that after they watch the kid, okay, you don't have nobody else, go home. Go home. Because there's not gonna be enough bleachers for everybody.
But then the game will be over, you can send them home, and then they gotta be back in about an hour.
They don't want,
I mean, for those that have to be back, that they're gonna stay, they're gonna stay.
If everybody wants to stay, they all gotta pay, 2 games. And it'll just be a record.
I think the Little League season is over, the Babe Ruth is still going on. Maybe I'm wrong,
I think it's over.
I don't know.
but
Nunca hubo nada.
But, I understand that they wanted to try to get together to make opportunities for both leagues to play together and get along, which is wonderful. But, I mean, that's what they're recommending, these are the rules we follow. And maybe by then, the cases will even be down more. I know Webb County hit 500 cases last night. So there's been 4,000 tests, and they hit 500 of those were positive.
What was that at?
Webb County,
Yeah,
the high percentage, and I know Frio still has 32 active cases.
So,
We have no active cases here, and,
on this one, Josh, it says it wouldn't be effective till May 31st.
and,
So they still got another, what,
but we,
7, 8?
yeah, that's for May 31st, so that's what, let's call a meeting and meet with them.
Yeah, it's still,
Let's call a meeting to meet with them. And we'll put this up, kind of break it up, because it covers the rules for barber shops, hair salons, um, nail salons, massage parlors, child care centers, on, on bars. Bars are gonna be 25%. They should remain seated 6 feet apart at all times. Activities that enable close human contact, uh, are discouraged. Um, which is activities to enable close human contact, including but not limited to dancing, are discouraged. Um, pathways for patrons should include ingress and egress, to be clear and unobstructed. Designate staff to ensure customers remain 6 feet between the parties. Hand sanitation should be available. No tables of more than 6. If there's any dining, there should be no condiments. Use disposable menus. Uh, they're asking for consider position unoccupied tables adjacent to each occupied table, creating at least 6-foot space. And then it has the protocols to check people. Checklist for bar and similar establishment patrons. Screening consists, pretty much the screening is pretty much the same for everybody. And our fire department has been very active with determining occupancy. However, inside the city limits, the city has jurisdiction for occupancy. We do have this trained staff, licensed staff, do occupancy and do fire certification, but we don't have jurisdiction. So the city has somebody that tells a bar, this is what you have to follow for the occupancy. You know, whether it's our person is trained or certified, you know, any complaint has to go to the city. Concerning the occupancy. What happens with the COVID in the governor's order, it says 25% of occupancy, but it doesn't state that you're gonna determine occupancy based on the fire code. And that's what we've been using, the state fire code. So it's, you know, some people may say, well, my 25% is 60 people, while we may say it's 40 people. But regardless, inside the city limits, the city of Petula is gonna have jurisdiction there. Now, and the enforcement of that would fall on the city and not our sheriff's department or constable. So they're gonna put a rule themselves, and they gotta enforce it themselves.
So
Because we don't have an interlocal to recover our costs for our law enforcement in reference to collecting.
so they would have somebody looking at those places?
Well, they have somebody that's gone into like the bar, says this is how many people you could stay. But if there's a violation of the city order, it should be a city police or city code compliance officer that does and not our police. I mean, and that's why I wanted to get here. If we're not getting citations here or enforcement from the sheriff's office, and some of them have been helping, then why are we gonna send them over to the city because they're not even helping us? So the only citation we've done during all this time has been one from Butterfield that he did out of this whole time. There's a gathering, put it this way. There's a gathering. And what I'm getting at is, look, we had Mother's Day, we had Easter, and in Sinaloa, we had some people that tested positive and caught the virus. Then you got a lot of people scared. Well, we see them here, we see them there, and if that happens in Petula because people are following it, then we're back to ground one, step one. At the end of the day, it's going to remain that we got to remember to wash our hands, wear our masks, stay 6 feet away, and we're going to have to continue to practice that, whether it's the Little League or the bars or the restaurant. That's something that we're going to have to do until they find a cure.
Like in Ensenada, the same gotta wear a mask outside the dollar store, convenience store.
But the thing is, we can't make them,
No,
and the
but
governor
are
said,
they doing
but
their-
we're recommending they do. We're recommending they do. And if they don't have masks, then we need to let them know, or we need to try to get them some masks.
I mean, I'm just asking.
And it's still hard to get them, but whether it's a cloth or something, we're still recommending that, oh, there's nothing in Petula, you know what, I don't need to wear a mask. Well, we got a lot of space here, but you go to a restaurant or a store, you're gonna be bumping into people. So those high traffic areas, wear the mask. The 12th.
The growth, the better,
The cashier gotta be real close to the veteran, you know, the empire's gotta be behind
and the,
it.
go to the picture.
Because like today they were saying, I'm kind of looking at, they're saying that people that exercise, right, our span of the virus for droplets is 6 feet. That's standard that we're talking right now. But they say when you run, that you push a cloud, that it's even further. So when a child is running, he's breathing heavier. When he stops, then his lungs are pushing it further out. So the radius gets bigger. The radius gets bigger.
Say it's 21 feet.
So it gets bigger. So that's known. So when you're gonna have events out there and it's out there, then you're gonna have, we don't know how the sun's gonna the droplets will probably evaporate, so I mean, it may wash itself out.
You know, but on that one, Judge, I've seen a lot of people, they've been practicing social distancing. Many people are wearing masks, but you see a handful of people that, I don't know, I think they just think they're not gonna get it. There's a handful that
You need to
you
wear
just see
them
them
in
walk
public.
across and they ain't even wearing a mask. But most of them are, you see a handful, they're not wearing it.
I thought que
You know,
muchos de tipo de they don't believe in it.
but many people are taking care of themselves, and
I spoke to, well, I talked to, remember Yolanda Salazar or, Consuelo Flores was her sister, which passed away, and they lost a nephew to the virus there in North Dakota. It was 40. They lost a nephew.
Yolanda's son,
His nephew. They lost him, and
those places were
and and eventually you're gonna meet somebody, know somebody who got sick, like a case. None of the employees had masks. They gotta wear masks. Oh, they should be wearing masks.
where eight. Let's see. Oh. But no, I will know this. I will.
And so it's, before we make a decision, I mean, I'd say we meet with them. We set up a meeting, next week, next Friday or so, we meet with,
Who's gonna be going with the coaches or the
I
parents?
say the coaches,
Coaches, because some coaches wanna do it, but maybe parents don't want to do it.
but if the coaches wanna do it and the parents don't wanna do it, then the parents shouldn't let their child play.
Or let the coach take it.
They shouldn't let them play.
Well, let's talk to them and maybe they'll change their mind, maybe they won't. Maybe the coaches don't wanna coach either, because they're just gonna say, well, you made a big ball, you made a practice, so I will. That's what's happen. I think, but this is gonna be, the way it's gonna be from now on, they say. It's gonna go away.
October.
I mean, I doubt it's gonna be for the rest of life. I think we'll find a cure. It takes a while
October, they should have
to
something.
find a cure and make it, I was looking last night at Juarez, and one day they had 2,000 cases.
The Navajos, the Indians, they're the worst ones to get out of this.
Is that right? What's right with it? Where?
Aquí, Oklahoma, no,
Yeah, I mean, there's some very hot spots, and it's
It's
not gonna be, so we'll meet with them. Now, in reference to the bars, we'll follow these rules that is established, we put them on the deal in reference to spacing. I mean, we can figure out how much spacing they can have, but at the end of the day, the city is gonna make a determination. Part of the thing that we had worked on doing testing, and we looked at several different populations. We addressed the nursing home, and the governor recommended, testing of all nursing homes. And I think he announced for fire departments to be able to work and do the testing. But we don't want to contaminate a nursing home, so Danny and Gilbert have worked to get the National Guard to come do the testing for them. So that's that's the offer, unless the nursing home themselves wants to do their own testing.
If they want to do their own testing in the nursing home, we confirmed yesterday that we can do a star request in order to get the test, reserve the lab as well, and that way everything is still covered by the state. The nursing home or even the county is not out here. The other option is we already put in the star request for the National Guard to come out to do the testing themselves. All we're waiting for is a confirmed date when they're coming.
Because one of the things that they were concerned was the third-party testing. No one wants to go in and contaminate a nursing home. So the National Guard tend to have very, very good PPE.
Yes, they do. They
And-
come in with their own doctors, their own nurses staff to go in, do what they need to do.
But they also have immunity. They also have, immunity. And it's the same thing with the jails. The sheriff has tested everybody in the jail in Catula. There's only about 10 people left to be tested in Ensenada. We reached out to U.S. Marshal, and they were saying, well, we don't have anybody that's tested positive. So we're okay, but if you want to do it, incur the cost, fine. The only thing was drawing a baseline. So we left that testing open because the governor recommended that all jails be tested as well. But since that's a federal facility, you know, I wanted guidance from the U.S. Marshal to see, okay, are we gonna follow the governor or are we gonna follow, you know, the president's directive for jails? Because the jail in Ensenada does not fall under the jail commission. It's under the Bureau of Prisons. And I looked up the protocols of Federal Bureau of Prisons, which is online, and apparently they're testing everybody that comes in. They're testing everybody that comes in. But they're only being screened for exposure. So if somebody's asymptomatic, then, you know, there's no guarantee that we're gonna keep it out of there. So I don't know how often they're moving prisoners in and out. I think they've kind of held them. So if they're not moving prisoners in and out, or detainees, and you test them, then you know it's secure. But we offered, so if there's any type of legal action saying, hey, y'all didn't offer at the county, oh yes, we offered, we have it documented. So we're not gonna test the prisoners in Ensenada, but we offered to them. We offered to them, we are gonna test our people, because our employees go home and go in and out, and there were some concerns from the community that some other employees may have been exposed. So now they've been all tested, so the, you know, other than about 10, so they should be fine. And
Are we gonna have another testing for county here?
we need to have one, or we need to have, huh?
Is that Wednesday?
Well, Wednesday or Thursday, we need to do, some more testing, because part of the requirements before I sign this, attestation for rural counties, the 5 or fewer, is that we need to have 5 consecutive testing track intervals with positivity rates of 12%. And so we gotta have at least 5 testing opportunities. I think we've had 5, but we haven't met the 5% of the population. We're about 325, 350. So we need to get at least 400 people tested. So we have one more testing site, and we may want to do one more Cotula and one more Ensenada. One more, and then we'll go from there. I encourage all the employees of the county to be tested. I got tested. I think most of us have been tested.
Ayala, you got tested?
Well, more Wednesday. All my food.
So,
We did it.
at the last antibody test, we had some people that tested positive for antibodies, but they don't have the virus. So what that means is that the virus was here before this happened, and some people at some point caught it, but they didn't have symptoms, and it's no longer in their system. So we had some positive bodies for it. So
You re-get it again?
huh?
Sir?
It's
Can you get it
possible,
again?
but probably it won't be strong because you already had it when it wasn't bad.
Yeah, me too.
So those people that did test with antibodies are probably better off than we are because they didn't get sick. For the, you know,
It's just the family that they can, somebody gets sick.
yes. So, I mean, so those are the changes that we're looking at. And I think we already received $80,000 from the CARE Act that could reimburse us for some of these expenses. We'll be able to probably qualify more through FEMA. They've been keeping track of everything, of their expenses. And I think next week, we should start opening every day. But we're still gonna have the spacing. I think Margie wanted only one person, front and back. You know. Huh? I think Dora would remain the same one person for office.
One person coming in?
Yeah, it's like the clerk. The clerk would be limited to 3, 1 in front and 2 in the back. And then the tax assessor, she'd still have to do the one person, but the sheriff's office would be the same. You know, one somebody wait. And we probably need to put some spacing outside as well. Now, the judge is gonna have, the district judges have a whole different set of rules that they've set up. And they're gonna be working with fire department and Eddie and Robert to make sure the spacing is gonna be for them. And we've ordered masks and face shields, for everybody.
So they have to wear a mask and come to the courthouse.
Everybody's gonna have to wear a mask.
Even though when they go inside, like, it's Margie, we're gonna beg, they're gonna have a mask.
When they have a district courtroom, the district judges are requiring every single person to have a mask on.
6 feet apart. But I'm saying that, like, the dead man, they come in there, they have to wear a mask.
We can require that. We can require in this order that everybody coming in the courthouse wears a mask. And that's probably best. We can require that. As an employer, we can require everybody wear masks in the courthouse. And nobody coming to the courthouse without a mask. And we can leave some masks there with Eddie, where they give them a mask. And gloves. Easy. Well, what's easy for us, what we've done before, you take a little plastic bag. They do it. They put one mask and a pair of gloves. So people come in, here you go, here you go. So that way they don't take a handful and you don't lose a lot of masks. And we can do that, but you just have to order that as well. So everybody coming into the courthouse, you know, beginning May 26th is going to be required to wear a mask, and gloves.
Monday,
Tuesday. And I would suggest that the pool remain closed until the 15th of June, and we'll decide before then. Because the governor has not authorized that to be open yet.
we're gonna get with soldiers.
We'll set a meeting for next week. What's next Thursday? What's next Thursday? What's next Thursday? How about May 29th?
Thursday, 28th?
You don't want it the 29th?
You're Friday.
Why don't we add it on Tuesday and then, yeah, we're ready.
But the thing is, Tuesday, we're gonna have a long docket already. So if you wanna be here 8 hours, we can do 8 hours, but we gotta give them notice. We just have a short meeting with them. The 28th, the 28th. We want it 1 o'clock PM, and then, as if they have kids,
1:30.
1:30?
Okay, take a nap.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's just for them. So,
I have another question, maybe, when you wear your gloves, and, if you touch other things, and then other people come and touch there's no COVID.
Well, now the CDC has changed a little bit of what they've been talking about. Now they're changing that a lot of the surfaces aren't holding on to the COVID as long as what they would think.
And what about
What they were
the
thinking
gloves?
before.
Will you glove hold it?
The gloves are the same thing as the surfaces that what the CDC. But it's always good to put hand sanitizer on the gloves just in case they do change their mind again.
Yeah.
It's always a good idea.
Because some people are with the gloves all day.
I mean, in reality, this is what you do. You put on your gloves, you go to the grocery store, find what you want, and take them off. And use a new set of gloves.
Yes, that is
That's the recommended.
yes, that is the right.
But I think that many people don't have that many gloves. Like Commissioner Ayala
So
said,
you bring some
they
off?
use them, or let's say some of them don't. And then, probably a lot of them take care, but they think, what, I'm protecting my hands. And they're going all day everywhere.
Because as long as the COVID will.
And they're not. You gotta take those gloves off. So like if we give them one set of gloves, the gloves we're giving them is for this courthouse this event. And then when they leave the courthouse, they should take them off. The gloves, the mask, they can use it all day. But the gloves,
You can continue using it,
you go through a lot of gloves. But the gloves, I mean, if you're at home and you're in your car, you don't need to do something. But if you go to the grocery store, put them on. If you're gonna go to one in the hospital or clinic, you put them on, and then you take them off. But I mean, people don't go to the grocery stores every day. Some people do, but not usually.
Sanitizer.
What I do now, I got these for $1. Every doorknob I'm gonna open, and then open it. But I mean, I don't know if it works or not, but the doorknobs.
I still can't find wipes,
No, you can't carry them either.
That's what I don't understand.
Don't do this.
No Lysol, no wipes. I mean, companies just staying behind or
Yeah, they're behind. Bianca did find aerosol spray, Marty. So she's getting cases for the court to be able to spray.
Where can we buy some sanitizer for the yard?
I ordered a box. I got some there for, I need something else. I got a couple of.
Sanitizer? How much was it?
To buy some. ¿Qué vale? 200.
No.
You bought 'em?
I mean, I can get some more gallons. You want me to get some more gallons?
Just 2 gallons, so I can fill up the little bottles.
I got little bottles, 8-ounce bottles. It was for everybody, but.
What we did is the fire department is that we got the gallon, and those little jars that you put mustard and ketchup or hamburgers? Huh? No, you pour it in there and you can fill out the little bottles with it.
Rinse it off,
So you can fill the little bottles,
Get one. Could I
yeah.
get some?
So then these little bottles can be filled with hamburger juice.
Yeah.
It makes it real easy. Because the hardest thing is to pour it in.
Is that alcohol? What's that?
Huh? This is hand sanitizer.
I got 6%.
I don't know what this is.
It's
Put it on
the
your hand, I'll light a match.
You start.
So, okay, but are we gonna require everybody coming into the courthouse to have,
It'll be a for our safety.
masks,
okay, everybody mask
gloves, I don't know.
and gloves? At least if they're gonna be coming in out. I mean, if you're at your workstation, you're fine.
Yes.
Yeah, you can get some gloves there was there, and then as soon as you walk out, you can go there.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
that way they won't bring, if there's anything, they won't bring nothing.
At least when you come in, once you get to your station, you're fine. You're fine. But if you're in a position where you're talking or grabbing everybody, it's something else.
It wouldn't be the same as just sanitizing their hands in the entrance instead of spending on gloves all the time.
Well, what happens, you put the hand sanitizer and then they touch something else, other hand or something, then they gotta do it all over again.
It's the same thing with gloves. They're gonna touch something and then go to another door.
Yeah, but if the gloves are contaminated.
Unless each station has a sanitizer bottle outside their door, so they can sanitize their hands or gloves before they go into another office.
That's I mean, we can offer them the gloves. If they don't want to wear it, use the hand sanitizer. But at least wear the mask coming into the courthouse.
If we
Yeah.
give them a pair of gloves, they're gonna have a clean pair of gloves to be walking on low or wherever they're going. Or they go out, they throw them away, so they're, you know,
But like he
No,
said,
I guarantee they won't throw it away.
I mean, throw the gloves away once they leave. That's
Yeah.
what I mean.
but like he said, you won't attach to the surface, the COVID.
If you do provide gloves for the customers or people that are visiting the courthouse, they're having thin gloves. The staff here maintains the courthouse pretty clean, so you shouldn't be able to contaminate each other with doorknobs or anything.
No.
Especially if they have on a clean,
So we don't need-
sanitized pair of gloves. So
we don't need
I think some gloves for everybody would be a good idea.
For the outsiders, they got it.
Yes, for the
Yeah, for the
outsiders.
outsiders.
Because they got it on their
Yes.
hands.
Yes.
What happens if we can't buy big gloves like he has? They won't fit them.
They don't make them.
He can't come in, he can't come in.
Para los monstruos son tan alarmadores.
Yeah. And then everybody's coming to work Monday through Friday.
So the
Or,
courthouse.
yeah, well, could be Tuesday,
So the courthouse will
Next
be
week.
open all week.
all week.
Oh,
Now, there's some confusion on the COVID days. We gave the 10 COVID days. And for those people that were working part of the week, then those days they were off, they took the COVID days. And that was pretty much across. But there are some people that didn't take COVID days, and I know they were not here. So if there's any confusion, those people need to make sure their timesheets match their vehicles, if they have a vehicle that's been assigned to them, and their GPS. Because we got some people that didn't take any COVID days, but people like Willie and myself, people here every day know that there was nobody at the courthouse. And those timesheets don't match. So we've given some people, okay, you didn't understand it, clarified it, correct it, because we have a whole list of comp time, and Willie set up a personal leave, and we know some people that were not here for a long period of time, but yet they got paid, because they were salary. And that's why I wanted to put the item in executive session next week and kind of cover it, and then we can go in detail,
But they were on salary and they still get COVID-19 days. They still get the 10 days off.
Well, the thing is,
Full-time.
if you're on salary, if you're a county employee, you're on salary, you get paid whether you punch the clock or not. But you're expected to work. But when you don't work for 3 or 4 days, and it's for 4 weeks or 5 weeks, it's not fair when it still shows on this that you got personal leave that we gave you. So not only do they get the 3 days over here, they got more days over here. It's not fair. It's not fair for people that work hourly. So I'm saying if you didn't understand that, y'all need to correct it. Your employees need to correct it and get it corrected because it's not fair across the board. Because even if your salary, you're expected to work your 40 hours or 46 hours or whatever hours you need to work. So,
That's not our social
Huh?
program. That's sheriff.
yeah, so we give them the chance to correct it. Because we got after some other officials because they were leaving 2 hours early, and then you find out that there's days over here that have been billed and paid, but nobody worked. So to be fair across the board, we need to do that. Huh? So we'll look at that. Is there anything else that y'all need to look at? So in essence, Phase two, child care centers, massage personal care centers, youth clubs, rodeo, bowling alleys, bingo halls, racing, skating rings, that's May 22nd. Bars, May 22nd, 25%. Um, the youth sports, May 31st, they can start, well, we're gonna meet with the youth sports, we'll meet with them.
You mentioned nothing about kickapoo.
Well, that's why we put the amusement, the amusement game machines operated, and licensed by, having a license, I mean, a license like a TABC license. They may have a city license, but that's not what we're talking about. So unless you're a bar or a restaurant,
License.
you know, because you might have a bar that has a little machine, that's fine. But amusement machines, maquinitas, are just using maquinitas and nothing else, those are still closed. And I'll tell you why, once the kickapoo opens, it'd be different. But if you start opening machines throughout South Texas, and I talked to Zavala County and Dimmitt County, all these people that go to the kickapoo, that can't do kickapoo, they're gonna start coming in.
They're gonna
From out of
come,
town to
they're
play.
gonna come here, they're gonna,
They're gonna mess.
somebody's affected, they're gonna bring the virus
So
over.
we're not gonna consider opening it up until they open the kickapoo.
But you can put that in a restaurant.
Yeah, but it's a different nation.
That's a
And,
restaurant.
and then to the door-to-door solicitation is still prohibited, until the governor opens that up. And motels and hotels comply, with the gym and restaurant rules. And I would, the courthouse will be open. Elderly, Meals on Wheels. We've been serving to anybody over 65, whether they qualify or don't qualify. I would suggest that until we open the center in Ensenada, which is probably gonna be somewhere in June, we're gonna have to talk about it, because Damiana needs to order the equipment, they're almost done. That we continue to do the home delivered meals for the elderly. And after that, it goes back to normal, the center opens here too. I'm thinking somewhere in June, I don't wanna give a date because we're real close. But as soon as the center opens in Ensenada, then some people in Ensenada are being served, they can go to the center. And over here, these people go to the center, and as this clears, you know, it's treated like a restaurant, we can operate at 25%, but I'd rather till it gets to 75 or 80% before we open it up. Because usually when you get to, when we start seeing San Antonio and Webb County go down to where they have very little cases, then I think we should open the center.
It's good right now.
So,
Yeah, I think everybody's been really working hard, you know, on social distancing has helped a lot.
look,
Wearing masks.
look, it worked really good because we had delays in Ensenada with the construction. But all this was the nutrition center and all the extra meals that they served here in Cotula for the home delivered meals, I think it helped the ladies from Ensenada because they've all been really busy. They've been really busy. They're doing, how many meals a day are y'all serving? 60. 60 people. And do you have any idea in Cotula how many they're doing? About 300? So we're looking at a testing, you know, next week, next Wednesday, next Thursday, or Thursday, Friday, I'll arrange it. And
What do you try to get that blood again? You know, nobody makes that swap.
well, Vitamed was doing the swab in the throat and people were okay. They had quite a bit of people go, so it's either gonna be the throat or the blood test. Now, the National Guard, they came, only 25 people went, and only 25 people went, maybe because it's a no swab. Now, in Crystal City, they tested about 400 people. So they had a lot more participation. than we did with the National Guard, but here, the National Guard people didn't wanna go,
They do that all there, or what?
they didn't know,
They won't go again.
they didn't. But we should have next Wednesday, next Thursday. And I like to, so I think everybody's been, not everybody, I think we've received, good cooperation. They've worked really good with the fire department, both the National Guard and the Med, they worked really good. Now, we have kind of shelter in place. On the kids, we had a curfew that they couldn't be out. And I know it's been hard, you know, do you continue that or do you not continue that, continue the curfew? Because if you have the youth, then why have the curfew at that time? So the governor saying May 31st is the first day they can start practice, then I would suggest that at that point, that's when you lift the curfew on the kids. May 31st. Huh? I mean, you can do the curfew or just leave it
But we have a meeting Thursday, no?
Thursday. So for the time being, then the curfew still remains on the kids.
Yeah.
So the rest of the order continues and the curfew still remains on the kids.
I don't see many kids in it, out at, late, not that I'm up that late,
It's really not your children. It's gonna be your 15, 16, 17-year-olds that have a license to drive. They're gonna go visit a friend, or they're gonna be moving around, because they miss their friends. People miss their friends. They wanna go see their friends.
But I haven't seen a lot of traffic, not,
And that's what happens. You can't stop it. We're humans, and we're gonna visit, and there's always a chance that increases it. So, okay, we'll leave it until the 28th, and we said, you know what? The curfew will remain until the 28th. And after we do that testing, next time, then I'll sign that certification. Because in reality, the restaurants should not go to 50% until we test 5% of the population.
So some of the restaurants, they're not even using the paper menu. They still got that.
But that's what I mean is, the fire department now, we need to find out, or the constables, they can go in and they gotta use paper menus. They gotta give them copies of this and say, hey, you gotta have paper menus. And these are the recommendations they gotta follow. But even though the governor said, hey, they can go to 50%, until we certify this and get 400 people tested, they remain at 25%. The restaurants remain at 25%.
There's some restaurants that got a menu, paper, but they're use somebody, they don't want to throw it, they want to keep it.
Well, no, but they gotta change it out. They gotta change it out.
But, I mean, you need to get somebody to check out maybe once in a while or something. It's just, you throw that paper away, it's just money thrown away. Every time they make a copy. They get.
And I would, if that's the case, we'll put that in form of motion. We're gonna follow them recommendations. We got these changes here, door to door, maquinitas, hotel clarification. We're gonna come back and look at the parks and the baseball from the 28th. Courthouse is gonna open. We're gonna have masks and gloves for everybody. District judges have their own rules we're gonna follow. The pool will remain closed for the time being. And, I would need that in formal motion. And then we'll meet again on the 28th.
I'll go ahead and make the motion.
Okay. Motion been made. made and second, and then we'll decide on a date for, Rosie in here, we'll decide on a date. You know, okay as it is. Motion's been made and second. Yeah. And I think Crystal did a good job of spacing or whoever did it. Outside. And I think it should be done on the second and third floor, as well. Because we got some chairs there, like on the third floor, like next to each other. I think we should just space them out. But we don't need action by Commissioner Court. We'll do that ourselves. So, I don't have any other, discussion. I do know that the driver license office has been closed here. And probably need to reach out to JD, say, hey, she answering the phone, not answering the phone, because any employee that's not answering the phone because she's under DPS, then they gotta make that decision whether, you know, are we gonna furlough them, lay them off and move them to another department to work, you know, or lay them off. But if they don't have work to do, then, you know, we should lay them off on county employees.
They're on those, right?
Huh?
They got them all.
They're closed. But if you got somebody who can't have access to the computer, can't answer phone, can't do anything, then we gotta find something else for that person to do, or we gotta lay it off, because they gotta work. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. So is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna give this to Victor.